guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing the Mars Saturn transit video in the sign of Pisces, and Mars enters Pisces. This is where all the activity is going to be happening. So Mars is now moving into Pisces and it is going to conjoin Saturn. Now the moment you hear this, you might think Mars and Saturn together, that sounds intense, maybe even difficult, right? But let me tell you something very clearly. This is not a negative transit per se. In fact, for many of you, this can be a turning point of sorts because whenever Mars and Saturn come together, it's not just about pressure building inside, it's about uh, acting with a sense of direction. Mars gives you the courage to act, and Saturn gives you the discipline to sustain, especially when it is in the Uttarabhadrapada nakshatra. Think of Hanuman. He's got speed, he's got agility, but his devotion to Rama also makes him, very matured in his actions. So, Mars, Saturn in the sign of Pisces, when they come together, you're pushed to take control, maybe fix what's not working for you, and see some progress in this area of life. Move your life forward. That's what we're looking at with Mars and Saturn in Pisces. There can be, however, moments of frustration. There could be delays, some kind of an internal push and pull feeling that could give rise to a lot of frustration. But what you need to understand is that this is not blockage or pushing you to take whatever action that you're intended to take. This is more about making you play by the rules, because Saturn shows limitation, and Mars will now have to do things within the scope of that boundary, within that scope of limitation. So you're kind of being trained to act not impulsively, not fearfully, but with precision. And this transit is not affecting just one area of life. It is influencing your relationship, your career, your finance, your mindset, and most importantly, you as a person. For some of you, this will bring a lot of movement after a lot of delay. Results are going to show up only after you put in the necessary effort, and there's going to be a lot of clarity as well after a bout of confusion. So if you've been feeling stuck, this is where things begin to move. And so let's begin with Aries Ascendant or Aries Moon sign. So for Aries Ascendants, Mars is now moving into your 12th house where Saturn is already transiting. Now, at first glance, you might think Mars and Saturn are together in Pisces. Now, this sounds a bit tricky, right? So let's understand what this actually means. Mars represents property, real estate, land, right? And when it moves into the 12th house, there can be a theme of letting go, selling, or closing a chapter. Now, since Mars is also your 8th lord in the 12th house, this could involve inherited assets, joint resources, or it could even involve insurance money that is getting expended. And with Saturn, your 11th lord, sitting in the 12th house, sitting alongside Mars, this can actually turn into gains through disposal of that property or financial benefit from selling your inherited assets, joint resources, or your insurance that's getting matured at this time. This could either directly be of benefit to you or it could be of benefit to your boyfriend, especially if you're a woman. So if you've been planning to sell something, then this transit can support that. But here's the key. Saturn alongside Mars means don't rush. Mars always wants quick results, but Saturn says slow down, do it properly, and you're most definitely going to do it properly because Jupiter is in Gemini sign going direct. That means there's some kind of a documentation that is taking place in a most favorable manner, which is favorable to you. So before making any deal, understand the details, verify everything, the paperwork. Especially, you got to be careful if legal matters are involved because Mars, Saturn are also now aspecting the sixth house, Virgo sign. So due diligence becomes very important. Now, there's going to be a very specific internal experience with Mars and Saturn in Pisces together. Mars wants to finish things quickly, but Saturn holds you back. So what happens? Now is where you don't act impulsively, you act with discipline. It's like combining speed with patience. And that's actually a powerful combination. Even if things feel slow, they're becoming more stable and well thought out before you start taking that action. Now, Mars represents energy as well. So, Mars represents your drive, your inner fire, your willpower. And in the 12th house, that energy wants to be released. But with Saturn there, you could feel some kind of a restriction of being slowed down or being more thoughtful or thinking more than you can act. You know, you're thinking about doing X and then you're thinking about doing Y and you're thinking about all kinds of possibilities that is kind of getting you bogged down because you're not really acting at all. So you're not acting instantly, you're thinking first, you're analyzing, you're thinking of all the possibilities, of all the crazy results that could come out, the consequences, I mean. So there's going to be uh, pressure at times internally, but it also means fewer mistakes and better decision. So instead of one big burst of energy, your effort becomes gradual, controlled, sustained even, especially because you've also got Jupiter in the sign of Gemini. So there's going to be a very good, favorable result coming out of that effort. Now, the 12th house also relates to rest, it relates to isolation, bed pleasures. And since Mars is your Lagna Lord and also your 8th Lord, there can be a stronger expression of physical or intimate energy, sexual energy getting released. So there's going to be a need to release the built up tension. But you know what? Saturn, as always, is going to go slow. It's going to take it slow. So it's not going to be an impulsive action in the bed. This is controlled, this is gradual, more grounded. You're going to think about the consequences of getting together and all sort of stuff that's now going to be running through your head. So even here, there is a sense of discipline within desire. So understand this. This is not a rushed phase. This is a deliberate phase where you act carefully, you think before you move, and you make decisions that last. So you get consistent expression and gradual release of built up energy. So it's great to take your romantic life to the next level. The next set of prediction for Aries that I've got is that Saturn is mostly service minded, right? Saturn is extremely service minded. So when Mars enters the 12th house, there could be a caretaking role that kind of devolves on you as if by right, because Mars is also your eighth lord, right? So that means there could be um, a caretaking role that kind of is expected of you. So you would probably be engaged in taking care of someone within the family. It could be your in-laws, it could be one of your friends or someone from your social circle even. It could even be your sibling. So Lagna Lord going into isolation, going into the background, means that you're going to be taking it slow for a couple of weeks before you make your way to the mainstream of life, and that's going to happen when Mars transits into the sign of Aries. So think of this as taking a break, especially if you find yourself in a hospital or in an old age home taking care of someone. You're meant to be doing that right now. Now, this is not a placement where life stops. This is a placement where, your outer life slows down in a way. Your inner life becomes more active, more loud, and you work silently and think 10 steps ahead before putting your plan to action. Also, Saturn Mars conjunction means you could now gain through foreign opportunities. Gains could now come to you or your spouse, especially for women, from foreign sources. And that is also seen because of Mars's aspect on the sign of Libra, the eighth aspect. And so it's going to be very sudden. It could just come out of the blue. So this is another good result of Mars in the 12th house. Great for opportunities, business opportunities, especially sudden income to you or your spouse. And that wraps up my prediction for Aries. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe below. And also, if you are an Aries ascendant, check out your moon sign based prediction. Or if you're a moon sign Aries, then check out your ascendant based prediction for more clarity on the transit. And if you like what you heard, please give it a thumbs up and share this with your friends and family. Let's move on to the next sign, which is Taurus. So for Taurus people, Mars moves into your 11th house and gets conjunct with Saturn. So here Mars is the 12th lord conjunct the 9th lord Saturn, right? Capricorn sign. Saturn rules Capricorn as well as Aquarius, so 9th and 10th lord. So that means your profit or social circle is now going to be linked with travel. Not just yours, but even that of your spouse. So you stand to gain through travel, either in monetary terms or in terms of building lasting friendship with a solid group of people who are adventurous and enterprising. Saturn always maintains a low profile when it is in the 11th house. You could feel like you don't belong in that group, or you feel very lonely in that group. And that's very possible because the story is unfolding in the natural 12th house, Pisces sign. So if you feel oddly out of place, then fret not, because that's exactly what Saturn gives. But when Mars moves in, it wants you to push aggressively to know your friends better, to go out, to meet people, especially people of the opposite sex. This is your time to socialize with as many people as you desire to, because 11th house is strongly linked to one's desire. And that said, Saturn, being the Karaka of work itself, getting conjoined the 7th lord, could make you feel very enthusiastic about starting something new. Maybe on partnership basis, or even get into a new job, or compete for a position that could give you monetary benefits, because all of this is now unfolding in your 11th house. And Mars's fourth aspect on the second house is going to help you increase your liquid assets and also to increase your material possessions, despite some slowdown on this front because of Saturn. But also fourth aspect brings about foreign connections and wedding bells in your family. You're going to spend money on something auspicious as the month begins. Now, Mars's seventh aspect on the fifth house could now draw you towards people of the opposite sex from a foreign land. So high chances of getting engaged or marrying someone of your desire at this time. But you need to also check out your dasha, your bhukti as well, before you reach a conclusion. But remember, this is not just in your case, but also in the case of your elder sibling, because 11th house is elder sibling. Also, you could now get attracted towards speculative income because of its aspect on the fifth house. Some of you are going to buy new scripts or even old ones as they dip further, but profit making is still going to be a bit far off because Mars is also your 12th lord. So consistent investment will see you through some difficult phase in the future. Don't forget to take this opportunity to save money if you can, as Mars aspects your second house. Try to save as much as possible for a rainy day, especially if you can't help saving money. Uh, all I'm saying is don't splurge it on things that are not necessary for you. Now Mars's aspect of eighth aspect on the sixth house could help you in paying off debt, paying off your loans. So generally, this is going to be a very satisfactory period, except that there could be some frustration around competition, because Saturn is known to stifle competition. But otherwise, I feel this is going to be a good transit for Taurus, and I'm saying this although Mars is a functional malefic, because in the 11th house, generally when planets are in the 11th house, um, they lose their propensity to cause harm to the native. All right, that's all I've got for Taurus. Next up, we've got Gemini. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe below. Also, if you are a Taurus ascendant, check out your prediction based on your moon sign. If you're a Taurus moon sign, check out prediction based on your ascendant in order to have more clarity on this front. Okay, and next up, let's move on to Gemini. So for Geminis, Saturn is already in your 10th house, and now Mars is making its entry into the 10th house. And just when you thought that there's going to be relief from work, it's going to get tougher. But the mantra with Mars is that as the going gets tougher, the tough get going. So don't worry if you see a truckload of work headed your way. Yes, there's going to be challenges, there's going to be problems being hurled at you, and you'd be expected to keep increasing your superpowers day after day and show up to work with a smile and deal with all the conflict at work. Mars, however, in the 10th house is going to bring about directional strength, and that is the reason why, despite having to work really hard, you would find the strength and direction to tackle those issues. So this is not really a negative transit, guys. Of all the times, in my opinion, of all the times that Saturn moves in the zodiac sign, I think the toughest one is when Saturn is in the 10th house, because it directly deals with your professional life. Saturn always brings about difficult changes, transformation, and hard labor in the 10th house. You're going to have so much responsibility, both at work as well as at home, because Saturn aspects the fourth house. So, despite all the responsibility, despite all the hard work that you put in, the kind of recognition that comes with Saturn here will be zilch, nada, nothing. And that's why it's so easy to get disheartened when Saturn is in the 10th house. But that's why I keep repeating that Mars entering the 10th house is not negative. It's got a positive side to it, because it's bringing that motivation and energy back into your professional life. It's the kind of energy that you now need more than anything. It's going to show you the direction, like a roadmap to your professional life. And when you make use of this energy to enjoy your work without worrying about the result, like Hanuman, he's got that bhakti, that devotion that pushes him to do the task without thinking about the consequential results, the fruits of his labor. He's happy doing work, because work in itself is its own reward. When you imbibe that kind of a philosophy in your mind, where you kind of enjoy your work without worrying about the results, then once the transit is over, Saturn will have no choice but to reward you for all the hard work that you've done. And then money is going to flow, connections are going to flow, things are going to fall into place as you pick up pace with your professional life, even after Mars leaves the sign of Pisces. Now, Mars's aspect on yourself is going to help you, let loose, as it probably is going to introduce you to a new set of friends, and to a new set of people, and they're going to teach you to enjoy the grind at work. What are friends for? They're there to help you in your difficult situations, right? So despite all the obstacles and challenges, they're going to help you to live in the moment, take one thing at a time, and work your way up the ladder, slow, methodical, and disciplined. That's what Saturn is all about. Now, Mars's aspect on the fourth house through its seventh aspect could now actually work towards your favor if you're trying to buy landed property, or if you're trying to buy a house. Now, it could be inherited, but it could also be purchased in the secondary market. So what I'm saying is Mars's aspect on the fourth house is great for buying property, but if it's like a house that's already built, then you're probably looking at purchasing an old property because Saturn is also conjoined Mars. And Saturn always, when it is alone in the 10th house, looking at the fourth house, he doesn't want to go for that property. But now when Mars enters the equation, it's going to push Saturn to take a decision because Mars is all about being decisive. Whatever research that you've been doing will have to be wrapped up because Mars is now telling you that you're taking too long to decide and the window of opportunity could soon be closed. So if you want to know if the deal that you're getting into will be favorable or otherwise, then especially in the long term, look at your Dasha Bhukti, look at the planets in your birth chart to get a confirmation. But there's a high chance that it will be favorable because Saturn always gives things that are permanent, right? So it's going to be favorable. So Mars's aspect on the fifth house, its eighth aspect on the fifth house, could, however, limit your success with regards to a romantic relationship. There could be some ups and downs with your love life or in your relationship, and basically there's going to be a lot of effort that you need to put in to work things out with your boyfriend or girlfriend relationship. Also, Mars Saturn aspecting fifth house, there could be stomach ailments or there could be issues with your children. All of that is now up for uh, solving uh, as far as Gemini go. And that's all I've got for Geminis. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe below. If you're a Gemini ascendant, check your prediction based on your moon sign. And also, if you are a Gemini moon sign watching this video, then check out your prediction based on your ascendant to get more clarity on your situation. Okay, and next up we've got Cancer ascendant or Cancer moon sign. So Saturn, Mars in the ninth house for Cancer people. First, let's cover those who are still studying or trying to crack that exam, right? So Saturn, no doubt, must have pulled the brakes on higher education for Cancer. Saturn is a planet that calls for patience. It's slow, it's methodical when it comes to understanding academic subjects. It's really slow and methodical and wants you to get your teeth right into it and understand the theoretical underpinnings before you move on to the next level, you know. So it's gonna be frustrating for you, especially when Mars enters the sign of Pisces, because Mars is not really about understanding the core philosophy of the subject. It's more about competing in that exam. It's about knowing what's necessary to crack that exam versus knowing the core philosophy of the subject indicated by Saturn. And Saturn always gives depth and knowledge when it is in the ninth house. So when Mars comes over, there's going to be a lot of frustration with regards to education. Maybe not because you don't get it, but because you're probably running out of time, Cancer. Maybe you're taking way too long to complete your education, or maybe you're juggling two different things at once, like work and then taking care of family, like your father, and then you're also trying to concentrate on whatever you can at with regards to your education. So on one side, there's plenty of work coming your way. You're getting comfy with your professional life, which sort of gives you complacency about the education itself that you're pursuing, where you're not taking it too seriously to crack things quickly, which could now be the focal point when Mars enters the sign of Pisces. So there's going to be pressure to finish things quickly. You want to wrap things up before it's too late. But that's the much needed change that you've been looking for, Cancer. That's the impetus that you've been looking for, and you're getting it now. For those who are writing exams right now, expect to see a lucky breakthrough. You're going to take it all the more seriously and prepare for what is required from the point of view of that exam than what you want to know about the subject. Mars is your yoga karaka, And definitely in the ninth house, it's gonna be favorable to you as it pushes Saturn to speed things up. Ninth house is also linked to travel, and with Mars entering the ninth house, it really forces Saturn to move and accept the change. It indicates a very favorable time for Cancer people as they move places, maybe on a permanent basis. Because look at where Mars's eighth aspect is on. It's on the sign of Libra. So you could now be moving permanently, maybe due to work or in search of better prospects. Both are possible. Nonetheless, it does indicate the beginning of a new journey as one chapter of your life could now be coming to a close and a new one opens up. But still, there could be travel that happens back and forth, which could feel frustrating as Mars aspects your third house. So take one thing at a time and plan your move carefully, and you will see better prosperity in the coming weeks. Now, as far as religion goes, ninth house is also connected to religion. So Saturn could have kind of stifled your movement, but Mars entering Pisces could give you religious inclination in rituals and physical movement to holy places because of its fourth aspect on your 12th house. So travel is indicated for religious or spiritual reasons. Definitely good times are opening up for Cancer people, especially those planning to go to holy places. And that wraps up my prediction for Cancer. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe below. Also, if you like what you heard, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment on what really worked in this video for you. And also give it a hype. Share this with your friends and family. Next up, we've got Leo Ascendants, Leo Moon sign. Leo's Mars moves into your 8th house where Saturn is already transiting in the sign of Pisces. So 8th house governs sudden events, ups and downs in life, and also life-changing situations. So the negative effect of the 8th house is well known, especially with Mars and Saturn there. It's anybody's guess that there's going to be a lot of pressure upon the native. There could be emotional heaviness, frustration, burdensome, blah blah blah, and all that jazz. But apart from all that, Mars conjunction with Saturn for Leos is gonna be a Raj Yoga. Why? Because we're looking at the conjunction of a Kendra Lord and a Kona Lord. This is a combination that can make you wealthy, intelligent, and famous. 8th house is one of the most important houses to check for fame, sometimes even infamy, because 8th house could drag you into embarrassing situations and downright humiliating even, and then put the spotlight on you. That's 8th house. But not this time, guys, because both these planets, one of them uh, uh, being a yoga karaka for you, and the other one not so friendly to your ascendant, but when they combine will still bring about wealth and success when you really need it. It can also make you famous for the right reasons. Leo politicians could see some really good progress in their political career. Remember to make an effort to connect with religious people, and that could really boost your fame. However, if you pick a dispute with religious leaders at this time, then the combination could give you negative results. Now, I spoke of wealth and success. So, what kind of wealth are we looking at? This wealth could very well be linked to inheritance, insurance, which are obvious because the activation is now happening in your 8th house. But also, it can be linked to alimony. Saturn is your 7th lord and 6th lord in the house of death. So it shows dispute, it shows relationships coming to a close. So if you filed a court case for a divorce, there's a very high likelihood of gaining alimony from your ex because of this combination. So although the proceedings could be very painful, the end result will invariably be one of gain and profit for you, not just materially, but also mentally, because Mars is your fourth lord of mental peace. So you could now receive news that sets you free because it's happening in the natural 12th house, Pisces sign, right? So there's going to be a feeling of emancipation and being free from whatever has been keeping you chained, bound, and anxious. Saturn does all that. So this is just an example, guys. Wealth can come in many forms. Not everybody is going to get alimony, right? For some, it could imply alimony, but for some others, it could indicate that your inherited wealth is under dispute, and Mars now releases the clutches, so to speak, briefly as it makes its way to the 8th house, and you see an end to the trauma of having your wealth restrained and then selling that land or asset to see some profit because Mars aspects your 11th house through its fourth aspect and your second house through its seventh aspect. Inflow of money, inflow into savings, and all of that means that you're going to have to run around a bit and at short notice, and that's going to frustrate you a little bit during this time. But any which way, the time is ripe for wealth coming your way. You could probably feel happy that you got rid of the asset that you have been, that could have easily become a liability. All right, and that's all I've got for Leos. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe for all things astrology and also give it a like, leave a comment, hype the video. Next up, we've got Virgo Ascendants or Virgo Moon sign. Let's talk about those of you who are in a relationship, right? So when Saturn transits the 7th house, it doesn't always create open conflict. It's more subtle than that. It brings responsibility, it brings emotional weight. There's going to be a period of distance or heaviness. You may feel like something is missing or something needs to be worked on. But Saturn's role is very clear. It is trying to stabilize the relationship when it is in the Uttarabhadrapada Nakshatra. So it is trying to stabilize and it is setting realistic expectations in the 7th house. Now, when Mars enters the equation, when it enters the same space, the energy is going to change a bit because Mars does not want to sit and process. Mars wants movement. Mars wants results. So what happens? You start feeling a push, a pressure. You want progress, you want change, you want the relationship to move forward. And if something has been bothering you, this is the time it comes to the surface. There can be frustration, a feeling like how long can this continue like this. And this is where the test begins for Virgos. Because now you're required to act, not impulsively, but decisively, to put in effort to address what's not working and to bring about a real transformation in your relationship. Now, let's talk about a very real possibility. Sometimes you may feel that your partner has certain patterns, habits, or behaviors that need to change. You may have already tried understanding your partner or tried to be patient with that person or even engage in gentle communication. But now, with Mars in the picture, your approach becomes more direct, more forceful. You may feel like enough is enough. Something has got to change now. That kind of urgency, that kind of mission mode is now activated in your seventh house. So this is where things can kind of escalate. Arguments can become more intense, conversations can become sharper. Because Mars brings confrontation and Saturn brings accumulated pressure, together they can kind of create situations where emotions can run high and reactions become strong and the conflict becomes heavier than usual. Now, this is not about breaking the relationship. You need to understand this very clearly. This is about testing it. Saturn wants stability. Mars wants action. So if you can handle this energy well, this can actually push the relationship to the next level of maturity. But if you're gonna, just wing it, like be impulsive, if you handle things unconsciously, then it can lead to unnecessary conflict. So the key here is very simple. Be firm, don't be aggressive, be direct, but don't be hurtful. Act, but with awareness. Because at the end of the day, you're not fighting your partner. You're trying to fix what is not working. You're trying to find a solution. So that should be your end goal in mind. So don't be impulsive, okay? And for those who are single, when Saturn has been transiting your seventh house, it doesn't rush you towards marriage, right? It, in fact, may have slowed things down. You may have experienced delays in finding a partner. There could have been lack of clarity in relationship with other people, or even a phase of, detachment from other people. Or there could have been struggle in your business relationship with your partner. And during this time, Saturn has been doing one thing. It has been resetting your expectations. What you want in a partner, what you will expect, and what you will no longer tolerate. Now Mars enters the same space, right? And suddenly the stillness is disturbed because Mars does not wait. Mars activates. And what happens? You may suddenly feel a strong urge for companionship, a desire to connect, or even physical attraction increasing after a long phase of silence. So there is going to be movement, opportunities may come, people may enter your life. But here is the catch: Mars moves fast and Saturn takes things slow. So this creates a very specific situation. You want to move forward quickly, but the situation in itself may not be fully ready. You may feel like, well, you know what, this could work, let's take it ahead, but then Saturn is like asking, is this like the stable connection that you're looking for? Is this going to work out for you in the long term or not? So this becomes a testing phase where you're thinking 10 steps ahead, where you don't want to rush into something, but also want to wrap things up, get married, maybe because you're running out of time. So there's going to be frustration when things don't progress immediately. And sometimes you may attract people who themselves are confused, and emotionally unavailable or not fully ready for marriage. And that could even frustrate you more because you're now meeting up with people that have no interest whatsoever in marriage itself. But remember, Saturn is actually filtering things. So what should you do? Don't rush just because something has started. At the same time, don't ignore opportunities out of fear. Saturn gives fear, right? So it's not about fear. So this is about striking a balance. Mars wants that experience, Saturn wants commitment, and only if you find both, you should go ahead. So if you can find both, then it's going to give rise to a meaningful connection, a relationship that has both attraction and also stability. And it's going to lead to a lot of good things in the future. But if you handle it impulsively, then it can lead to short-lived connections, frustrations, or repeating old patterns, and that's not really good. Now, there's one more important thing that I want to talk about for Virgo, and that is Mars's aspect, right? So, Mars is directly aspecting your 10th house of career. So, what happens? Your relationship energy starts influencing your work life. So, you could now face increased pressure to perform, and there could be a need to prove yourself, urgency to take action in career related matters because Mars brings drive. But Saturn is still sitting in the seventh house. So mentally, part of your energy is tied up in relationship. So this kind of creates a split within yourself. One part of you is dealing with the relationship and the pressure that it brings. Another part is trying to push forward in your professional life. And because of that, you may feel distracted, pulled in two different directions, or under pressure to balance both these things. Sometimes work decisions may be influenced by relationship situations, or stress from relationship may spill into your professional life. No, we don't want that, but it could still happen. So the key here is don't let emotional pressure affect your professional decisions. And aspect on your second house, that's another layer. Mars from the seventh house is also aspecting your second house. Now, second house is speech, family, daily interactions, finances. So what happens? Your speech becomes more direct, more sharp, especially in close relationships. You may say things quickly without filtering things. And because Saturn is adding pressure, those words can carry a lot of weight. So small conversations can turn intense. And from a financial angle, expenses related to partner or relationship can now increase. Financial discussions may become more serious. There could be a need for practical handling of your finance. Maybe there's some kind of an audit going on with regards to your finance. So this is not isolated. This is like a chain reaction of sorts. And the relationship, if it is stable, then your career is going to improve. Your speech becomes more balanced. However, if your relationship is tense, then work is going to get affected, and your communication could also end up becoming harsh. So this transit is not just about your relationship. It is influencing your career. It is influencing your speech, your daily life as well. So how you handle your relationship right now will reflect everywhere else as well. And that's all I've got for Virgos. If you like what you heard, please give it a thumbs up. Also, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to sub below. And also tell me what worked for you in this video. I would love to hear your comments. Share this with your friends and family. Next up, we've got Libra Ascendants or Libra Moon sign. Libra folks, Mars and Saturn are coming together in your 6th house. Now, the moment you hear this, you could be like, oh my God, I've got Mars and Saturn in the 6th house. This is not good. Right? No, wrong. This is actually one of the most powerful placements that you can have. This is not bad. In fact, this is extremely good for you if you can have that shift in perspective, which I'm going to talk about. You see, 6th house is a Dusthana house, right? It represents problems, expenses, obstacles, daily struggles. And the rule in astrology is that malefic planets do well in difficult houses. So when planets like Mars and Saturn enter the 6th house, they don't really create problems. They give you the ability to handle them. So Mars gives you the drive to fight, and Saturn gives you the endurance to sustain the fight. You can just keep going without getting fatigued. So you become someone who can face challenges directly, handle pressure better than other people. You could stay consistent even when things are tough. So yes, life may feel a bit more demanding at this time, no doubt. You could feel like there's more responsibility, more work, more situations to handle. But here's the shift in perspective that you need to imbibe in yourself. You need to understand that these are not problems per se. These are opportunities for you. These are opportunities for you to get rid of something annoying. These are opportunities for you to get rid of some annoying problem that's been on your back since a long time. And Mars and Saturn coming together means Raj Yoga, because Saturn is the lord of your 5th house and Mars is a Kendra lord in the 6th house. So again, this is Raj Yoga for you. That brings about success and achievement. So whether this is at work or if it's in your domestic life, maybe you're filing a case in a court of law with your spouse even, I don't know, whatever it is. You could even be taking on the role of a counselor or take on the role of a lawyer or win a case in a court of law yourself. Whatever it is, Mars is giving you the impetus to act, and Saturn is going to bring structure and persistence, relentless persistence till you achieve that goal. So you could find yourself working harder, taking on more, and dealing with people from very competitive backgrounds. Yet, this is a great time to fight against one of the most difficult phases of your life. Also, this is a placement which is going to help you to fight against difficult situations, including diseases, and strengthening your physical system. Regular exercise could become your mantra till Mars leaves Pisces and moves on to Aries. It could even start with walking every day for like 30 minutes, then keep increasing over time. So look at it this way: Saturn and Mars are helping you organize your life through consistent action and planning. Mars aspect on your ninth house as well as your 12th house is going to open up travel, maybe for educational purposes, especially if you're a working man or a woman. Then maybe it's time for upskilling at your workplace. Maybe it's training time for you. And all of this is possible, right? And Mars's aspect on the Lagna itself could give rise to some sudden events where you're called for duty in short notice and you're going to have to deliver, as a lot of people will be counting on you. But what you need to keep watchful of is your health. You could end up getting fatigued and tired and dehydrated during this transit, and also Mars and Saturn together means muscle soreness, muscle pain, and all of that is possible. So take it slow for a couple of weeks, but doesn't mean that you need to put a stop and not even start with exercise. You need to do what you need to do. Make sure to drink plenty of water, learn to relax, and also enjoy the process of working and solving problems, solving disputes, whatever they may be. And that's all I've got for Librans. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe below. Also, give this video a hype, like, and share this video. And if there's a certain part of this video that you like the most, do leave a comment. I would like to hear more about it. And next up, we've got Scorpio Ascendants or Scorpio Moon sign. Alright, for Scorpio people, Mars is your Lagna Lord as well as your 6th Lord, and it is coming into conjunction with Saturn in your 5th house. Now, this is important because this combination in the 5th house can actually act like a Raj Yoga for you, especially when it comes to education and stage performance. So if you're someone who's currently studying, maybe in college or university, or playing a drama, then this could be a game-changing phase for you. Mars entering the 5th house is like a burst of energy in the 5th house, in your education, in stage performance. So you could feel more driven, more focused, more competitive. And if you've been waiting for results, like after taking that exams, this could even be the time where things finally move forward, like completing a course or graduating, and what a celebration that's going to be for you. But if you're still in the process of studying, this is where it gets even more interesting. You're not just going to do well, you're going to push yourself beyond your usual limit. Saturn is limitation, but Mars is asking you to test what that limit is, to test the boundary of your capacity. Push and push is the mantra of Mars. Saturn may have slowed things down earlier. It may have created some kind of a delay, maybe even made you less confident in your field of study. But when Mars moves in, it says, enough waiting, let's push. So in competitive situations, you're going to stand out. If you think, I can score 85%, Mars will make you think like, why not 95%? And it's not just going to make you think, it's going to make you actually work towards that goal. So it's not just about ambition, right? It's about vying for the position in the spotlight. 5th house is linked to fame. And when your mind is focused on the medal, on that gold, you're going to automatically be motivated to do what it takes to achieve that goal. And Mars gives you the drive. Saturn gives you the consistency. And together, they can make you someone who doesn't settle for less. Now, in terms of romantic relationships, Mars gives you purpose and drive to look for new opportunities, even if it means going to someplace far off, as it aspects your 12th house and also your 8th house, right? So sudden movement is now possible with Mars in the 5th house. But you know what? Romance is definitely on the cards for Scorpio people. Great time to move with the opposite sex, befriend people, come out of your shyness and be more expressive. So coming days are going to be filled with love and prosperity. And fifth is connected to your gut health as well. And with Mars and Saturn in the fifth house, there could be issues with your gut, with your stomach. Watch out for any stomach ailments and take immediate counseling. Consult a doctor and do whatever it takes to address that issue as quickly as you can. And Mars Saturn aspect on your 11th house, Virgo sign, is going to make you compete for higher income or higher pay. So this is a good time to make a sales pitch with your employer or even negotiate for pay. And that's definitely going to be in your favor if you know how to pitch properly, of course. So um, try to do it in a way that does not unnerve your boss, and that is a lot more important because we're dealing with Mars and Saturn together in the fifth house. And that's all I've got for Scorpios. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe below. Also, share this video with your friends and family. And if there's a part of this video that you like the most, don't forget to, leave a comment and tell me what that is. I would love to hear about it. Next up, we've got Sagittarius Ascendants or Sagittarius Moon sign. Sagittarius people, if you've been facing delays with regards to your home, maybe in buying that property or issues related to property or even postponement in shifting to a new place, in relocating, then this conjunction of Mars and Saturn is going to be very rewarding for you because Saturn may have kind of created that stagnation, but Mars now actually brings about movement, right? Mars brings action, it brings execution. So what happens? You could now suddenly find yourself spending on a property, taking steps towards buying a home, or even actively working on repairs and improvements with regards to your house. So things that were stuck now start to move with Mars entering the space of Pisces. And when Mars enters Pisces in your fourth house, there's a clear shift. You don't just think about fixing things, you start doing it. You take initiative, you take charge, whether it's renovation, repairs, or organizing your living space, you become actively involved. Now, yes, Mars and Saturn together can create some restlessness within you, within your mind. You may feel slightly unsettled, a bit indecisive at times. Even small things like choosing a color for your home, deciding on the tiles or interiors may take more thought than usual. But the key difference here is that even in that confusion, you're still moving forward. You're still making decisions. Despite the effort, despite the work involved, there's going to be satisfaction because you can see progress because Mars is also your fifth lord in the fourth house, progress and prosperity. So you can see things improving, and that brings a sense of stability. It brings about comfort, emotional fulfillment. However, things that you need to watch out for is with regards to your mother, with regards to your mother's health, and that calls for immediate action. Maybe you would now want to go for surgery after thinking long and hard. And Saturn being in the fourth house could indicate that old age is not going to permit surgery, but you're still going to have to fight back, still going to give a chance to fight back to your mother. So you might just take that decision of going for surgery. But all I can say is check your Dasha Bhukti, check your mother's Dasha Bhukti as well, and see if it favors surgery or not. But yeah, some kind of a healing touch is definitely on the cards with regards to mother. Mars aspecting the 7th, 10th, and 11th house is also going to be great for business partnerships. Very enterprising time for Sagittarius people. Even if you're not into business, this is really good time to see some, good flow of money, good flow of partnership, career moving in the right direction, and generally happy times. If not for some nagging issue with regards to your home life, but still it's going to be a good time for you if you take the right decisions. But if you've been facing delays, some new beginnings are in store for you. And that's the core of what this transit is bringing for Sagittarius. If there's anything you've personally experienced during this phase, or something you feel I have not touched upon, or noticed something unique, then feel free to, share it in the comments. Love to hear your perspective. Maybe even consider exploring it further. I would love to do that. And if you like my video, give it a thumbs up, share and subscribe for more astrological updates. Next up, we've got Capricorn Ascendants or Capricorn Moon sign. People, Mars is moving into your third house where Saturn is transiting. So if you've been feeling stuck in your efforts or even distant from your relationships with your siblings, then this is where things begin to shift. Because Mars brings about movement, it brings about action. So in terms of sibling relationships, there can be a reconnection of sorts for Capricorn people. Maybe there's going to be an emotional patch up, a coming together. So old issues may get resolved, and there's a sense of letting go, moving forward, bringing peace back into that space. So this can be a healing phase in that sense, but at the same time, there's another side to this transit. You may also notice that you're comparing with your sibling. Maybe there's some kind of a jealousy being activated because Mars moves into your third house. So especially if it feels like, you know what, my siblings are doing better than me right now. How is it that my life isn't that great? So there could be an issue with jealousy. And third house is also connected to short journeys. Aspect on the ninth house also indicates travel coming up for Capricorn folks. Mostly connected to work because Mars aspecting Libra sign indicates work exigencies. So you could be moving places all of a sudden because there's something coming up for you and you're called upon for duty. But yeah, there's a possibility that you move places for personal reasons as well. And Saturn Mars always gives you kind of back and forth movement. Um, maybe some unfinished work that needs tending to, and you end up spending more than you should be on travel, and all of that is happening when Mars Saturn moves into the third house. Mars Saturn in the third is again Raj Yoga for Capricorn people. If there's been um, failure in your efforts, repeated failures even, Mars entering the picture is gonna give you persistence and extraordinary courage to take on whatever comes your way at this time. But what you need to avoid is overthinking. Overthinking about the outcome. Because Saturn's tendency is to delay that action. It wants to mull over all the possibilities and then act. And Mars is about impulsive action. They just don't go well with each other. They're having two different energies. So you're going to have to find a way to balance these energies. Don't do things impulsively, and at the same time, don't think more than you have to for something that's not worth your salt. Don't do, or should I say, don't stop yourself from doing just because you fear something, uh, uh, like a consequence that you cannot foresee. And don't stop yourself from doing things just because you don't understand the situation. And don't think more than you have to. Like I said, don't waste your energy for something small or trivial, thinking too many times. Just go with the flow. Otherwise, there's going to be a push and pull feeling uh, with Mars and Saturn in there, and that could get you into a lot of frustration. But yeah, Mars and Saturn is going to make your efforts consistent and continuous. So you're actually going to feel like you're putting in a lot of work. So this is a time which is going to be favorable for people working in the field of communication, in the field of sales, marketing, also media related work. And if things felt stuck before, this is where they begin to move because of Mars in the third house. So your effort is going to increase, your movement increases, and your ability to push forward is going to improve as Mars makes its way in the sign of Pisces and moves past Saturn. And that's all I've got for Capricorns. If this is the first time you're watching my channel, don't forget to sub below and also share this video with your friends and family. Let me know what part you were expecting from the video and something did not add up, something did not turn out the way you expected. I would love to know what that is. Do give it a thumbs up if it worked for you. And next up, we've got Aquarius Ascendant or Aquarius Moon sign. For Aquarius people, Mars is entering your second house where Saturn is already transiting. And on the contrary to what many may think that this could be negative, is that this is actually a very productive phase for you because this combination can make you extremely focused on work, focused on staying consistent, repeating the same effort day after day. And surprisingly, you wouldn't get exhausted very easily with Mars and Saturn in the second house. It's almost like you're in a rhythm. You keep going and going and going. Now, from a work perspective, this is all great, but there's another side to it, and that is all this focus on work can take away the focus from your family time. You may not even realize this, but your attention is going to be heavily tilted towards work, responsibility, and financial growth when Mars and Saturn are in the same place, in the same space. So, this is like your reminder to stay invested in your family life as well. There could be family gatherings, there could be weddings, there could be reunions, situations where you're required to show up and participate and just be present, and these movements actually matter a lot in family situations. But when you're not there, it's gonna put a dent uh, on your image as well. Now, second house, this is also a very active financial phase, right? Your second house is wealth. Uh, Aspect on the fifth house means future gains, children, and aspect on the ninth house through its eighth aspect also indicates fortune. So all are getting activated. So what does that mean? It means that efforts towards building wealth can increase when Mars moves into the second house. Your financial planning strategy is going to become a priority for you. There is going to be responsibility towards family finance. So this is not just about earning that easy money. It's about earn money. It's about earning that money in the first place. So Mars also brings a push forward towards growth, towards prosperity. So for some of you, this can be a time where you're going to put in effort with regards to your child, and that becomes fruitful. Or you may feel a strong desire to expand your family, and you work towards that goal of having a child. And Mars, you see, always wants progress, wherever it goes. So it wants to move fast, it wants a result. So you could feel more driven, more expressive, more focused on achieving some tangible result when Mars is aspecting the fifth house. But Saturn also is going to ensure that you're not reckless with your action. Saturn wants to bring structure in your action. And if you can imbibe that quality of not being reckless, then I think this is going to be a wonderful transit for you. It's going to be very productive, but yeah, it's going to come with responsibility. So you can build wealth, you can grow, but don't lose balance in the process. All right, that's my take for Aquarius. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe below, give it a thumbs up, and also like and share this with your friends and family. Next up, we've got Pisces Ascendant or Pisces Moon sign. All right, for Pisces people, Mars is entering your first house where Saturn is already transiting. So now at first glance, you might think Mars and Saturn in the first house, this is going to be intense for me, right? And yes, there can be moments of irritation, anger, inner push and pull. But let me tell you something very clearly. This is actually a very powerful and also a blessed transit for you. Because all this energy is now in your first house. You become active, you take charge, you start relying on your own effort. Saturn, Mars in the first house always means that you are acting independently without any help from outside sources. You are acting, you are taking the decision, you're putting in all the effort, and that means it's gonna bring results. You move things forward for yourself. That is why it brings results. You are going to act with intention when Mars is in the first house. And Mars, your second and ninth lord, is now activated in your Lagna. And this is where it gets interesting, right? Because this can actually bring about opportunities for wealth, financial growth, and gains through your own initiative. You may also see gains through property matters, sale of land, or inherited assets, because Mars is aspecting your fourth house as well as your eighth house, inheritance. So there can also be situations where hidden matters come to light. Now, this may feel intense and could even lead to disputes. So the key here is to stay calm, act wisely, and time your decisions carefully. Now, this is also a strong phase for movements because, Saturn is your 11th lord, and that is coming into the first house, getting connected with your ninth lord. And that means you may now travel more, visit your hometown as it aspects your fourth house. You could get connected with your roots, your ancestral origins. So there is also potential for gains through travel, gains through foreign connections. Opportunities can now come from distant places. Now, internally, uh, there's definitely going to be a mix of energies. Mars wants to push boundaries. Saturn actually shows you the reality of things. It wants to show you the limitation of yourself. So you could now feel like, I've got the drive, so I also want to be aware of the constraints. So let's push forward, baby. Let's see how far I can go. But Saturn again is going to push back and say you need to learn when to push and when to hold back. So in a way, yeah, this energy is going to be intense. So you're going to have to be mindful of your body when Mars and Saturn are in the first house. There could be heat related issues, headaches, muscle strain, fatigue, muscle tear, fractures, all of that could happen. So be very careful when it comes to exercise, when it comes to doing something physically intense. So if you're starting something new, especially physically, take it slow in the beginning. Don't overexert yourself. Mars aspect on the fourth house can actually bring improvement in property, home matters, well-being of your mother, both materially and personally as well. So increase in health and wealth for your mother is seen during this transit, and most of that credit is going to go to you for taking care of your mother. Uh, there's also something that you need to watch out for when it comes to relationship as Mars aspects the seventh house, and that is you could be like a child ninja at one time and then behave all matured and practical and soft and sensitive at other times. And this changing behavior can actually confuse a lot of people. So you're going to have to stay consistent in the way you express yourself when you've got Mars and Saturn together in the same space, you know. And this is not just an intense transit, guys. This is going to be a transformational one for you. You're going to be pushed to act, you're going to be pushed to grow, and most importantly, to take control of your life. And that's the crux of this transit. If you like my prediction, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, also share this with your friends and family. Give it a hype and stay tuned for more such transit videos and all things astrology. And guys, don't forget to hit subscribe if you're new. Alright? See you guys.